So I believe we've already read the communique and the recommendations. Maybe I should lead. Okay, so what I feel from the introductory part. Okay, so I learned the best way is for us to read it, then we contribute uh, as per the paragraphs. Are we okay with that? Okay. My reading skill is not good. Okay, so now we have the introductory page. That is the background, the communique that gives the background to the workshop. Do we have anything to add on that? Or do we have any issue with that? Okay, let me start. Okay, thank you. I'll take. Yeah, so you go.
Merci bien. Donc, l'exercice constitue à faire des observations au fur et à mesure des paragraphes. D'accord. OK, je voudrais faire une observation s'agissant du premier paragraphe, notamment la fin de la phrase. On a parlé des obstacles à l'accès à la justice des femmes ainsi qu'aux défis. Donc, je propose qu'on intègre dans les défis, donc je reformule ainsi que les défis liés au cadre normatif. On a parlé du cadre institutionnel, mais aussi à le cadre normatif qu'il faut prendre en compte. Donc, je formule ainsi que les défis liés au cadre normatif et institutionnel, de même qu'aux pesanteurs socioculturels, au lieu de culturels et structurels existants. Donc, c'est cette formulation-là que je propose.
Thank you so much. Please, can you pass on the mic?
Oui, nous sommes au deuxième paragraphe, là où on a dit les participants appellent les États membres de l'Union africaine, les organes de l'UA, les communautés économiques régionales, les institutions, tout ça. Mais moi, je suis ici,
Oui.
la société civile, médias, les leaders traditionnels et religieux, les secteurs privés, les partenaires internationaux, à agir de manière décisive, virgule, coordonnée et structurée pour éliminer, réduire sensiblement, qu'on puisse ajouter, je propose qu'on puisse ajouter les mots après décisive, coordonnée, structurée pour éliminer, réduire sensiblement la violence à l'égard des femmes. Merci.
Thank you. I see somebody at the back. Is there any other thing? Okay, so on my part, I think there is a need to reflect the representation of this gathering. So there's a need to reflect, I think for impact or for emphasis, that this is a representation of 40 African countries. So I think we should include it in this paragraph. So we have one more there, please.
Thank you, Prof. I just also thought that the introduction should acknowledge, besides the Maputo Protocol, that there's been another instrument, because we alluded to that during the discussions. So when we only mention the gaps in the implementation of the Maputo Protocol, we are ignoring the other instrument that was, I think, spoken about, the African Convention, right?
The CIVOC?
Yeah. Yes. So I think we should probably allude to that, so that, because from what I gathered is that the gaps in the Maputo Protocol could have led to that. So those instruments also, I think should be factored in. I don't know whether the gaps in the Maputo Protocol means that, every other state has ratified it. So if we mention the gaps, the implication is that it has been ratified by all, but I think we learned that there are those that have not ratified. So probably just twisting the English to reflect that. That's what I thought. Thank you.
Thank you so much. While I agree with you, because I already noted as one of the things to discuss on the African Union, I don't think it will be appropriate in the background because it has not gone into effect yet. We are still waiting for the 15 countries to ratify before it becomes operational. So maybe what we'll do is when we get to the African Union, we look for a way to bring it in and what we want the African Union to do about it. Thank you. So do we have any other comment, observation? Yes, please. Here.
Je me suis mépris au début, mais avant de commencer, je pense qu'on doit féliciter ceux qui ont élaboré ce projet de rapport-là, parce que c'est un travail qui a été bien fait. Voilà.
Oui, je m'en vais aux recommandations. Recommandations.
No, hold on, please. We've not started. When we get there, we'll scroll.
OK.
Merci. Okay, so going by that, we really have to thank the AIIL team and everyone that contributed to putting up this draft that makes it easy for us to brainstorm this morning. Thank you so much. Can we give them a round of applause again? No, down. Okay, so now we are moving to the recommendations. So the first set of recommendations will be to the African Union. Thank you, Prof. And I believe we also have this if it's not easy for us to use this way. So to the African Union member states. Is it to the African Union member states or to the African? Okay, that's the second one. To the African Union member states, we all have it. So do we have anything to add? That's to the government, not African Union. Do we have anything to add, please? Let me start from the back this time around. Thank you.
Thank you. To the African member states, I think we need to include the issue of maintaining database of these gender-based violence cases. or incidences so that we can measure or know the magnitude of the problem or prevalence. Because I know in each country there are places where the gender-based violence issues are prevalent than the others. So it's easy to to go through it and help out in that community which is prominent. I think this need to be included so that we can see throughout.
Thank you so much. We have one person at the back. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 1.
Okay.
Then 2 is at the back. 3, 4. You know your number, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So let's go to 1.
Good, everyone. So I already sent, I'm not taking long, I already sent my recommendation over the email, which is for the member states and for the AU to ensure the full effectiveness of independent civil society in observing, monitoring, and implementing all of these recommendations and in the work of implementing the different conventions. And the reason why we need to integrate civil society in our work is that they are an integral partner into achieving what we want to do. Without the civil society, our governments are not going to do anything. Thank you so much.
Thank you. 2. 2 is at the back.
Merci beaucoup. Par rapport à nos États, je vais insister sur ce fait. Je l'avais dit dans une de mes interventions ici, nous voyons que nos sociétés civiles sont sous influence étrangère. Il n'y a pas de raison qu'elles ne se plient pas aux diktats des institutions internationales comme l'UNICEF, l'UNFPA. Donc nos États doivent créer des mécanismes de financement, c'est-à-dire d'autonomiser les institutions, les organisations nationales. Parce que si je vois une ONG européenne comme Oxfam, qui a des filiales partout un peu dans le monde, pourquoi pas une ONG créée en Afrique? La raison est toute simple. C'est parce que les gouvernements de ces ONG les appuient financièrement et techniquement. Donc il faut mettre cette recommandation et la prendre très au sérieux. Il faut que les gouvernements accordent le financement nécessaire, c'est-à-dire ne même pas hésiter pour pouvoir assister les victimes. Et ajouter, j'aurais préféré, au lieu de peut-être détailler, on pourrait peut-être se limiter à financer les mécanismes de prise en charge holistique, parce que ça prend en charge tout ce que vous avez énuméré, psychosocial, mental, santé, etc., etc. Merci.
Merci. 3 is in front. Three is in front.
Ok, bonjour à tous. Merci de m'avoir donné la parole. Allô? Ok, bonjour à tous. Merci de m'avoir donné la parole. J'ai 4 recommandations qui seront peut-être osées, mais on va devoir, je vais les lire et puis on va choisir ce qui est applicable ou pas. Comme première recommandation, c'est créer des tribunaux mobiles pour les zones rurales afin de réduire les obstacles géographiques à l'accès à la justice. Deuxième recommandation, garantir la gratuité des certificats médico-légaux pour les survivants de violences afin de faciliter les poursuites judiciaires. Troisième, mettre en place une ligne d'urgence nationale gratuite disponible 24/24 avec localisation rapide et équipe mobile spécialisée. Et quatrième et dernière recommandation, introduire un quota minimum des femmes dans les institutions judiciaires, policières et de sécurité à tous les niveaux. Merci.
Merci. 4.
Moi?
4.
Oui,
Yeah.
it's me.
Yes.
Ok, bonjour. Donc, je voulais juste rajouter le fait, il faut mentionner la convention de l'Union africaine parce que là, je ne le vois pas, sur l'élimination de la violence à l'égard des femmes. Donc, il faut la ratifier avec le protocole de Maputo. Et aussi, le fait de mentionner financer les centres, peut-être je recommande de dire créer d'abord les centres parce qu'il y a des pays où il n'y a pas déjà des centres d'hébergement. Merci.
Five? Yes, please.
Ok.
Oui.
Je m'en vais au premier trait, aux États membres de l'Union africaine. Ratifier sans délai et sans réserve les protocoles de Maputo et l'intégrer dans les droits internes, y compris dans les codes de la famille. J'ajoute les codes du travail aussi. Les codes du travail doivent aussi être pris en compte, ainsi que les codes pénaux. Donc je préférerais qu'on puisse ajouter, au-delà des codes de la famille, qu'on puisse aussi ajouter les codes du travail. Merci.
Thank you so much.
Merci. En fait, en termes de recommandations aux États membres, c'est une question de méthodologie. Je propose qu'on fasse la part des choses entre les États qui ont déjà ratifié et les États qui n'ont pas encore ratifié. Parce que tel que c'est formulé, on a l'impression qu'on invite tous les États à ratifier. Donc, il faudra dans la formulation, recommandation, faire la part des choses. Alors, et surtout que dans certains cas, il a été précisé les États qui n'ont pas encore ratifié. Donc, c'est pour ça. Et puis aussi, le deuxième élément, au niveau de la soumission des rapports, c'est ce point-là. Hein. Il est mentionné soumettre régulièrement les rapports. Je propose plutôt qu'on soumette dans les délais prescrits. Parce que c'est le respect des délais qui s'imposent, de soumission qui s'impose aux États. Donc, soumettre dans les délais prescrits les rapports périodiques à la Commission africaine et tout. Merci. Et aussi, dans certains cas, pour les centres d'accueil et tout, c'est vrai qu'il y a un financement. Donc, pour certains cas, il faut proposer plutôt renforcer ce qui est là. Pour certains États aussi, il y a des centres qui existent. Renforcer la création, renforcer le financement pour ceux qui disposent déjà de centres d'accueil et tout. Merci.
Merci. Seven?
Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Moi, j'ai simplement une remarque du point de vue de la forme du document en français, notamment en langue française. En anglais, on emploie le mot, l'expression human rights, mais en français, on a tendance à employer l'expression les droits de l'homme. Mais d'ailleurs, je remarque que quelquefois, dans le document, on emploie l'expression droits de l'homme et quelquefois droits humains. Et moi, je pense que justement, dans un souci d'inclusion des deux genres, il vaudrait mieux harmoniser tout le document et mettre l'expression droits humains partout.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. I think on that, maybe I would suggest that we have some French-speaking, some bilingual participants sit over it after the revised draft has been done. Would that work?
Yeah, it will work.
All right.
It will work. I simply have one issue to raise regarding the member who has proposed that states should fund NGOs, to mean that those should be under the financial power of the government. I have difficulties to understand the independence of these NGOs. I don't know what you think about it. It's not clear.
Yeah, I agree with you, because the essence of having NGOs and CSOs is to hold the government accountable. So if they provide funding to them, then this purpose is defeated. So before we discuss that, I think we have one hand up, two. And before we go to those two, one, then two. Do we want to take the action against Then we'll come back to the NGO funding later. So we'll take one and two. Hold on, before that, please. I think on this, there's a point that says fund shelters, legal aid centers, psychosocial services, and survivor support programs nationwide. I think one thing that is missing, and I think somebody raised it,
That is what I wanted to
issue
raise.
of one-stop centers.
Yes.
I think we should also place an obligation on government to create one-stop centers. That way there's a referral path under the same roof. And that covers, at least when the government creates, then we can now say create one-stop centers and fund, then add this to it. So I think the other point I have there is that we should tax the government to invest in capacity building of enforcement and judicial officers. We shouldn't leave it only to the national institutions. We should make it a broad obligation of the government, and then also tax responsible agencies. So let's take your comment, please.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to add that on that point where there was fund and so, exactly like what you said. Since you have done it, then that's it. But I also want to know if the word communique on top of the whole document is in French or is in English, in the English version.
Actually, it's, there are times that French words dovetails into English. So communique is actually a common word in English with its origin in French. So it is acceptable in English language. Yes. We have one more at the back. Yes, please.
Merci pour la parole. Je viens de lire les recommandations. Mon intervention, c'est juste, je peux l'appeler une remarque ou un ajout. Ça concerne, nous parlons des droits des femmes, mais apparemment nous oublions les côtés hommes qui sont considérés comme les agressés, si je peux utiliser ce mot. Mais nous n'allons pas de ce côté-là pour adoucir leur agressivité, leur méchanceté. Dans ce document, je suggérerais qu'on y mette un peu les mots dans le sens de la masculinité positive. Ça serait aussi leur intégrer dans cette mission que nous sommes en train de voir. Parce que si nous disons seulement des droits des femmes, nous serons en train de dire aux hommes que vous êtes seulement des mauvaises personnes, et pourtant nous pouvons leur remettre la morale, leur dire, envisager aussi la masculinité positive. En bref, mon ajout serait aussi d'y intégrer dans le sens de la masculinité positive. Merci.
Thank you so much. But I think later in the document we have some sections where there are specific people to engage. And I believe this includes it. We may tweak the language a bit. Do we still have comments on the recommendations to the government?
Je reviens pour un peu éclairer la lanterne de professeur Mathias, parce qu'il semblait incompris sur mon commentaire. Ce que j'ai dit, que les gouvernements doivent soutenir les ONG afin de les rendre autonomes des institutions internationales. Parce que si nous prenons par exemple l'Union européenne, il y a des financements qui sont créés pour les ONG. Si je prends l'AFD par exemple, l'AFD a des lignes budgétaires qui sont uniquement réservées aux ONG. L'Allemagne également, le ministère accorde des financements uniquement aux ONG. Donc ce sont des lignes pareilles qui doivent être mises en place par nos gouvernements afin d'assurer l'autonomie de nos ONG. Parce que vous vous souviendrez qu'il y a, dans certains pays africains, il y a des couacs ou des quiproquos entre ONG et État. Parce que tout simplement, les ONG appliquent les directives que leur imposent les organisations internationales en matière des droits de l'homme, en matière d'autres situations. C'est ce que je veux expliquer ici.
Thank you so much. So I guess it just came back to what the prof has raised, that yes, it has to still be from external organizations and not from the government. So if it is that government should regulate how those funding, how the funding comes in to make sure it is used for the purpose, that is fine. But not for government to provide the money, because it will rob the NGOs of their autonomy. Thank you. Is it still on the government, recommendations to government?
Yes.
Okay, let me start from here this time around. Hold on, so we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we'll move to the next one. Thank you. 1, please.
Ok. Oui, je voudrais faire observer une des recommandations que nous avions relevées concernant les associations des femmes juives. C'était une recommandation adressée au gouvernement. Il y a des gouvernements qui le font déjà. Il s'agit d'allouer des budgets spécifiques pour soutenir les associations des femmes juges. Je ne sais pas si ça ne relève pas ici, ou bien si... non.
I guess that still comes, I don't think we can just spell out everything, but it still comes under strengthening. And then we have a part in the document that talks about recommendations for institutions, and it covers that explicitly. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Number 2, ma'am.
Merci. Merci pour le travail abattu, parce que c'est pas facile. Hein. Quand on demande de critiquer, c'est très facile, mais élaborer, c'est difficile. Je vois qu'on a mis quelque part mettre en lumière. C'est la traduction, quoi. On dit on met en exergue, on ne met pas en lumière. Je ne pense pas que l'on puisse demander à des États leur faire des injonctions, dire sans délai. Je ne pense pas que l'on puisse faire cela. Si on peut trouver une formule, c'est mieux que de dire sans délai. Encourager, inviter les États à le faire. On ne peut pas donner des injonctions à un État. Pour les réformes, au lieu de parler du code de travail, du code pénal et tout, inviter les États à procéder à des réformes des lois et pratiques discriminatoires en vue de promouvoir et de protéger les droits de la femme. On invite à faire des réformes des lois en vue de promouvoir et de protéger les droits de la femme. Bon, par rapport à la masculinité positive, je suis vraiment d'accord. Dans tous les cas, les droits humains, la masculinité positive est inclue. Mais nous, les femmes, on parle toujours de femmes, en oubliant la masculinité positive. Or, la masculinité positive nous permet vraiment d'atteindre nos objectifs aussi. Parce qu'il ne s'agit pas seulement des femmes, il s'agit aussi des hommes. Nous sommes dans un pays de conflit. On aurait souhaité aussi dire que les États doivent s'assurer de la participation des femmes aux mécanismes locaux, nationaux, régionaux et internationaux de prévention, de gestion et de règlement de conflits. Les femmes doivent y participer à ça. Je ne sais pas si à ce niveau, on ne doit pas aussi s'intéresser à la participation des femmes à cela, à la prévention, à la gestion et des règlements des conflits. Et faciliter les articles 8 et 9 même du protocole disent que la traite de l'accès des femmes à la justice et à la prise de décision. L'accès de la justice, ça permet de répondre à la question, au souci de ma fille, qui demande à ce qu'on fasse des juridictions mobiles. C'est un peu difficile dans la pratique. L'accès suppose à ce que des juridictions soient créées, qu'il y ait plusieurs juridictions pour faciliter l'accès des femmes à la justice. Mais dire que ce soit des juridictions mobiles, c'est un peu difficile dans la pratique. Non, on ne peut pas spécifiquement créer des juridictions mobiles. C'est un peu difficile. C'est un peu difficile. Ou bien des audiences foraines peut-être. Ah, des audiences foraines. Bon, je ne sais pas. On n'a pas parlé de formation, de l'égalité des chances en matière d'éducation et d'accès à l'emploi. Je ne sais pas si c'est approprié à ce niveau. Et la participation, comme je parle, j'attends un certain moment. Je ne sais pas si ce n'est pas intéressant, je laisse tomber. Ouais. Les États doivent aussi promouvoir la gouvernance participative et paritaire des femmes dans la vie politique à travers des actions dynamiques et d'autres mesures appropriées. On n'a pas parlé de la promotion de la gouvernance participative et de la participation paritaire des femmes dans la vie politique. On n'a pas parlé de ça aussi. Je ne sais pas si ça intéresse Donc je souhaite quand même qu'on demande sans délai là, si on peut trouver. C'est vrai qu'on est un peu aux abois, on est un peu perturbé, on n'a pas compris la réaction de certains États, c'est vrai. Mais il faut les encourager, les inviter, que de dire ça. Il faut les encourager, les inviter à y procéder, quoi. Que de dire sans délai à un État, ça je ne pense pas que ça soit commode, quoi. Je vous remercie. Je vous remercie pour le travail abattu, ça, vraiment.
Mr. Booker. So we already said that after the clean draft has been produced, we'll have some bilingual scholars or participants work on the document to be sure that the translated version actually reflects using the appropriate language. So, and like I said earlier, there are some other parts of the recommendations that address what you've raised. So these are like specific recommendations for specific population or authorities. So we'll take two more, then we'll move to the next one. And going forward, we'll take 4, on each comment. So for any other comment that you have, please feel free to send it by email so that we can incorporate everything. So we'll take 2 from people that have not contributed today. 1, 2. No. Is it English or French?
English.
Okay, 1 English and 1 French.
Okay, thank you. To the government.
To save time.
Okay, thank you. My recommendation to the government is to continue expanding access to justice service for vulnerable and marginalized groups within our communities through promoting or through supporting digitization initiative like e-filing virtual hearings, because I believe if they will strengthen or support these visual court hearings, then they will help to reduce the geographical barriers as well as financial barriers to underserved communities, particularly women and the children. But also I encourage them to promote or to continue encouraging community paralegal programs, but also mobile court programs. This also will help women to access justice so easily within their communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, in order to save time, let us reduce repetition of points that have been made. Thank you. So,
d'accord. Je vous remercie beaucoup pour le travail abattu. Ma recommandation va se joindre à celle de la maman pour insister sur l'implication des femmes dans les processus de paix pendant les conflits. Parce que tout comme le Mali, le Burkina Faso est en période de crise depuis longtemps. Et donc, les femmes sont les plus touchées pendant les crises politiques. Donc, dans les recommandations, il est donc impératif pour moi que les femmes soient impliquées dans les processus de lutte, dans les processus de paix pendant les conflits. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much. Please, for every other comment on the recommendations to the member states, kindly send them by email. Thank you. So let's move to the next one, and that is to the African Union and its organs. So we have 4 recommendations there. Do we have additional things? And I think I noted something here which speaks to what Linda had said, and that has to do with there's nothing on CIVOG. CIVOG is the Convention on the Elimination of Violence Against Women and Girls. So I already noted that, and let's just say we are incorporating that comment into this, that there's nothing on CIVOG, and I think we should include a recommendation taxing the African Union and its organs to provide more sensitization on the essence of CIVOG, or the essence and relevance of CIVOG. I think that is mine. So, do we have comments? Do you have comments on this? Can you send it by email, please, so that we can save time? Because
est-ce que c'est la peine? Je voulais juste dire que dans le point 1, les États membres de l'Union africaine, on a parlé de la Convention de l'Union africaine sur l'élimination des violences faites aux femmes et aux filles qui attend la ratification des États. Ça peut entrer dans ce point. Ça veut dire à notre retour, nous pouvons motiver les États à prévoir une loi visant à ratifier cette convention. Parce que la convention attend la ratification des États membres de l'Union africaine. Donc, vu que le point 1 porte sur États membres de l'Union africaine, nous pouvons intégrer cette nouvelle convention, qui est un instrument. Je ne sais pas si je me suis fait comprendre. Vous ne me comprenez pas, madame?
Understanding what you're trying to say is that we should include a recommendation to the African Union member states to ratify the CIVOG. Now, the question remains what we've been discussing for the past 3-4 days. Is CIVOG relevant? So I think the first thing we have to pay attention to, or rather focus on, is for the African Union itself, not the member states, and its organs, to make us understand the relevance of CIVOG. We just don't want to push states to ratify. Remember, we already have contributions there that says there is already a movement sensitizing member states not to ratify, because it is a duplicate effort. And then maybe, don't let me use the word challenge, questioning African Union on why we have this CIVOG. So I think we have to cross that hurdle first. So I think the starting point should be for the African Union and its organs to tell us why this is relevant, to make us understand the purpose beyond that unique cyber violence that it provides. And then to tell us why this, is it that we are saying because of the cyber violence alone, we need the CIVOG? Because every other thing in the CIVOG has been taken care of in the Maputo Protocol. So I think if you don't really understand and come to terms with the relevance, then we shouldn't be talking about ratifying, especially when there's already an ongoing advocacy against the ratification. So I think it will contradict each other if we make those two recommendations. What do we think? Let's take two comments on this. I'll take Dr. Brenda, then I'll take French.
Thank you.
I'm taking Dr. Brenda because she's involved in this work. The okay, she is knowledgeable in the work of the movement, the anti-ratification movement. And
So-
that is why I'm taking her. And then to provide lingual balance, somebody from the French.
Okay, thank you, Nike. So I am not involved in the work, but I had made a comment yesterday about how there is a movement called Pause for Purpose of civil society organizations that to ratify the protocol, not only because it's duplicative, but use with the document itself. So the action, which is weak, the issue of how it in keeping with what her ladyship has said. Oh, okay, sorry. So that there are issues with the document itself. The document itself, around the process through which it was agreed upon, the drafting process, the lack of travaux préparatoires, the gap in terms of the African Commission being a monitoring body despite the weakness of the Commission, the fact that the text of the document itself does not really read as a legal, as an international treaty. There are elements of it that read more like national policy. So there are a range of issues that people, which is why some civil society before asking organizations, asking member states to ratify.
I think we already have someone at the back, the French speaking. French? Français?
Ce que je voudrais dire, par rapport toujours à l'Union africaine, je pense que je dois leur coller la même recommandation faite aux États. Parce que si nous prenons les organisations régionales ou sous-régionales dans les pays occidentaux, il y a des financements qui sont prévus pour les ONG. Donc, l'Union africaine, CEDEAO, SADC, toutes ces organisations, je vais englober parce qu'on va y arriver, j'englobe maintenant pour dire qu'ils doivent créer des opportunités de financement et de renforcement des capacités aux organisations non gouvernementales. Merci.
Okay, so please let's arrive at a conclusion on what to do on CIVOC. What recommendations are we making concerning CIVOC? So I'll take 1, 2, any other one, a third one, 3, and that's it. Then we move. 1, please.
Okay, thank you, Your Excellency. Before proceeding with anything, first of all, I would like to recognize the dialogue which was being conducted by Dr. Brenda yesterday. I think addressed a good challenge whereby there are a duplication of the 2 documents, which is the Maputo Protocol as well as the African Commission. Therefore, what I wanted to the all colleagues, we could understand this challenge. Therefore, we have to agree each other that this presence of 2 documents which address the same matter. So actually will bring difficulties in their implementation. Therefore, in our recommendation, therefore, in our recommendation now, we have to understand that in what ways might the presence of 2 institutions or 2 instruments addressing the same matter lead to conflict in the execution of their responsibilities, and where should the primary focus of the authorities and emphasis ideally be placed. But the second issue which I would like to recommend or we would like to involve it is all about the women refugees. In our dialogue, we have not spoken about the women refugees. We have just generally included the women. But let's be specific. In our African continent, we have these challenges of refugees, particularly to women. Therefore, how now are we going to recommend on which ways these women refugees have to be protected as more vulnerable groups? Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a recommendation that has to do with protection and cross-border on cross-border protection. So I believe refugees, displaced persons are covered in this recommendation. And that is why we said we should read everything first before. So I think that is well covered. And then, okay, so let's take 2, please.
Okay, thank you. I want to quickly remind us that yesterday, the section on reflection on legal and policy reform, we agreed that given the focus of this workshop, the urgency, what we should be emphasizing is the urgency in strengthening implementation of existing legal mechanism. That means the Maputo Protocol, and not drafting new laws or instruments. So that should take care of the new convention, and I would suggest that if we must say anything about the new convention, we can just reduce it to 1, asking for information on what the purpose is supposed to serve. And as far as the Maputo Protocol is concerned, if we desire to have the part that addresses cyber security or cyber bullying, we could amend the Maputo Protocol to provide for that and not necessarily have a new convention, because like was emphasized in that section yesterday, the chances are that trying to operationalize a new convention may undo the gains that we have already achieved under the Maputo Protocol. Please, in that light, if we're going to be making recommendation as to the new convention, it will be better to reduce it to, if possible, 1, asking for information and no more.
Okay, thank you so much. Just by way of clarification, the CVOG also comes within the scope of existing legal frameworks because it's been adopted. So it's just not, it has not gone into effect because of the requirement of the signatory members, but it's been adopted. So it's still within the existing legal frameworks. So we have a third comment on that. Yes, please.
Yes. So hi again. So I have 3 comments. The first one, I think we should also add how to ensure accountability and monitoring and evaluation to the execution and implementation of the international conventions. And this mechanism of accountability and monitoring, it should be inclusive. So civil society, academia, people from the government. I mean, it has to have all sector people also, and women who have been, for example, subjected to GBV, all of that. This is number 1. And the second point, I don't know how we can put it, but I want to bring us back to the question that we all had throughout the past days, which is the effectiveness of the regional mechanism. So we have seen one of the problems of the African Court, for instance, that it takes a very long time till we get to the African Court. Can we do something about changing the bylaws? I know it's, this is a dream somehow, but I mean something about changing the mechanisms itself so that people can have more access to justice on regional level, on the local level. This is something I'm thinking of. I don't know how to draft it, but I'm opening it for discussion. And the third one, it's also about the how to relate our regional convention, so Maputo, to something like Beijing Platform of Action and to the CEDAW Convention, since CEDAW is also legally binding to our states. So we can, at that point, relate to African and international mechanisms altogether. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. I also don't know how to draft that, but I understand we have to include accountability. I don't want to call it mandate. We should urge states to be accountable across all stakeholders. We should include a clause or a recommendation on accountability on whatever they're doing. Then on the mechanisms, I think we should recommend or urge the African Union to be more responsive and to ease access to justice. I know they will say they have legal aid. I think saying they should be more responsive in order to ease access to justice for women. I don't know, we have to come up with something. So hold on, please. Then we are moving to the next one. Because now we've just been talking about the CVOG. We've not really concluded on the recommendations for the African Union and its organs. And then on the CVOG, do we agree that we limit our recommendation to urging the African Union to provide more information on the essence and importance of CVOG, pending pending going into effect? Do we agree on that? Do we agree? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Do we want to go by show of hands if we agree?
Yes.
That we should limit our recommendation to providing more information and relevance to what we have? Let me do what the legislature in my country will do. The yes have it. Okay, so do we have any other recommendation for the African Union and its organs? I know we already have 2 additional ones for the African Union and its organs, and now we'll be concentrating on those that have not contributed. So 1, 2, and then others can be sent by email, please. Okay, so.
Si. Donc, j'aimerais faire une proposition. Je ne sais pas d'abord si ça va rencontrer l'assentiment des participants à notre séminaire. Ok, donc je disais que j'aimerais soumettre à notre assemblée une proposition à l'intention de l'Union africaine, mais j'aimerais tout d'abord qu'on puisse donc davantage l'enrichir et l'approfondir comme proposition. Donc je vais rapidement. Il s'agit de voir comment est-ce que, à l'image du comité CEDEF, donc le comité chargé de veiller à la bonne mise en œuvre de la Convention contre l'élimination des discriminations à l'égard des femmes, comment est-ce qu'à l'échelle de l'Afrique, on pourrait également mettre en place un comité que je vais appeler bêtement comité du protocole de Maputo. Donc, il aura également la même mission que la CEDEF, mais cette fois à l'échelle de l'Union africaine et pour veiller donc sur la bonne mise en œuvre du protocole de Maputo. Et je fais le parallèle avec le comité africain d'experts sur les droits et le bien-être de l'enfant qui a été mis en place justement au regard de l'intérêt et des préoccupations que la question de l'enfant suscite sur le continent africain. Donc, je suggère que dans la même veine, vu le caractère poignant et prégnant des questions liées à l'égalité de genre sur le continent, qu'on puisse adosser au protocole de Maputo un comité chargé de veiller à sa bonne mise en œuvre. Merci.
Thank you so much. Okay, so two, please.
Merci encore pour la parole. Ma recommandation à l'Union africaine serait, vu que la situation au niveau du continent devient de plus en plus instable, on devrait envisager une recommandation telle que le renforcement des mécanismes de paix afin de faciliter ou d'établir un climat où les femmes auront une sécurité. Parce qu'on sait qu'avec les situations de guerre, nous qui venons de l'Est, on sait, ce qui aggrave, qui multiplie fois un nombre élevé d'ailleurs des cas de violence sexuelle. Si on peut parler de violence en cas de paix, imaginez alors en cas de guerre. D'où cette recommandation de renforcement des mécanismes de paix pour donner un climat de paix à toutes les femmes. Merci.
Thank you so much. So I think one recommendation that we can include would be to merge it with some other comments that we've had today by, is it urging? I think we've been using the word urge so much. Is to implore the African Union to include women in peace making and peace building processes to prevent conflict recurrence and for peacekeeping processes. I think so. So that way we've brought in the issue of inclusion and conflict. Do we agree? Yes or no? We. Thank you. So can we move to regional economic communities, the RECs? So if you have further recommendations for the African Union, kindly send it by email. So for the RECs, we have 3 recommendations. Do we have comments on that? Comments? Those are the ECOWAS, the EAC, the SADC. Now you want to see what you want your sub-region to do. The Southern Africans, West Africa, Central Africa. Only one comment. I want to focus on people that have not contributed today. Okay, so we'll take your comment, please.
Okay, thank you. My comments on these regional institutions is that they are becoming quite a lot, and various countries are joining any other thing, any other institution that will allow them to join. allow me to use the example of my country. The DRC right now belongs to SADC and also belongs to the East African community, whereby we have to pay contribution, yearly contribution every other year. However, the fact that these regional institutions are just welcoming any country that wish to join, it's becoming a lot to weigh on the country because of the contribution. Right now, we have my country. Again, I'm using the example of my country because that's the only country that can sue me. My country has a lot of debt, both in SADC and EAC, and I'm not even going to say the other things we belong to. So this actually hinders our contribution financially to African Union or any other thing that will actually bring us justice. Thank you.
Okay, so what is the recommendation?
Recommendation is that the institutions should actually work together. They should have a complementarity to allow some states to join them, if only the other states does not belong to another institution.
Oh, okay. So you're saying a requirement for membership should be that you are not already a member of one REC. But I think being a member of REC depends on the region you are. I understand for Central African countries that there's no REC. Should we rather say the region, the sub-regions in Africa that do not have existing REC should work on, they should just join one? Okay. Okay, so I guess the recommendation is that membership to RECs should be limited to only one. Do we agree? So we'll take two more from people that have not contributed yet. I'll take one, and Linda, two. Are we okay with that? Then others can be sent by email so that we can move to the next one.
Thank you, Chair. So for the RECs, I would recommend that they also establish monitoring and evaluation mechanisms to try and counter GBV, trafficking, child marriage, because if we are recommending that this should be established at the continental level, I think it is only wise that we should start from sort of the bottom going up. So my recommendation would be that the RECs also establish monitoring and evaluation mechanisms at the regional level. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think considering the fact that the RECs have a duty in protecting vulnerable population, especially displaced persons and refugees, and then to also ensure safe migration, especially when they have to cross. So I think it's logical that we also bring in that recommendation that they should have effective monitoring mechanisms to assess the effectiveness of protection and access to justice. So that covers it. We have, where's the second person? Okay, two, please. Okay, 2, 3, then we move to the next one.
My recommendation is an extension of the first point, the harmonization of regional policies. Upon harmonization, I recommend that there are some sanctions imposed. Yes. If a country is not implementing their policies on GBV, trafficking and child marriages, I think there should be some sort of ultimatum. Otherwise, they would take for granted. They do.
Wow. Let's take the last one, then we'll come back to that. Well, I think let's take the last one, then we'll come back to that. You can send email.
Donc, je devrais peut-être plutôt augmenter le nombre des agents de douane et les agents de police femmes dans les frontières et les former sur les droits des femmes. Merci.
I guess that will go to, is it member states or national institutions? Okay, to both. So that goes to member states and national institutions and to RECs to increase, to strive towards gender, no, I don't know whether to say equality or equity, gender equality. And recruitment of women in these organizations. In the local community, the local customary laws enforcement, like chiefs told us. Yeah, so I think that will still come to national institutions. We have a recommendation on that already. So please, let's come back to your discussion. Like we discussed at the African Court, and then I think we had a session, a very hot session on that air too, where we said, okay, do you want to sanction? If you want to sanction, you say, oh, you don't do this. Then the next thing is the withdraw. Because it comes down to the issue of sovereignty. Rather, should we look for a recommendation that talks about incentives? Do you think that will work better than to use the word sanction? We also want to be careful of our language. Prof? So, Prof, what do you say? Like, she suggests that we should have a recommendation to the RECs to impose sanctions for states that refuse to implement their policies. So I said, should we rather adopt the word incentives to incentivize it rather than say sanction? Because when you say sanction, it still comes down to sovereignty, they withdraw. It's only when you're a member that you sanction them. Do we just go by to incentivize by saying introduce incentives for effective implementation of their policies?
Why I would still go with the word sanctions is compared to the African Union, there is a way countries benefit from their regional those regional economic opportunities, communities, in terms of trade and the like. So it's not as easy for them to leave those communities compared to the African Union, for lack of, I don't know which exact. Yeah, because with this, they know they are benefiting economically. So once they are not implementing, you're sort of cutting an arm away from them.
It's not yet clear under international law imposing sanctions on states. And remember, these are organizations made of states. Who is going to impose the sanction, and what kind of sanction are we talking about?
We could, there've been some back and forth with, I'll use Uganda and Kenya, in case we are exporting or importing goods within the two nations. In case certain standards are not followed, they would stop the importation. They would put some sort of sanction. Don't bring your...
Who?
The members... Yes. It could be the memberships or the countries themselves. If you're not meeting the standard, please don't do this. If you're not meeting the standard, please don't do this. So the same thing I believe could work here. Why wouldn't it work here? If you're not protecting women's rights, we are stopping you from possibly doing this. You will not export something to us. If you're not doing this, you find a way of of being
I think since we have ambassadors in the room, I don't think that they will agree with. Let's take note of this, and then we'll go through some consultations with more experienced people, so that we see how to incorporate it.
Thank you, Prof.
I don't want to appear biased, because some people have been raising their hands behind, and I already said, let's close this session. Every other comment on this section should be sent by email. And so we can move to the next one. I understand we are running a bit out of time, and it will be good to cover this without keeping us waiting beyond the scheduled time. When we complete everything and then we have more time, then we can open the floor, we deliberate every other thing. Do we agree to go that way? Thank you, Maxi. So let's move to 4. So to the national institutions, I know there will be a lot here. To the national institutions, judiciary, police, prosecutors, the national human rights institutions. And then we have 4 recommendations there. I don't know if to start. This is where, for me, I raise the issue of including social workers. Because we tend to just mention judiciary, police, prosecutors, NHRIS. But the truth is we have social workers, and in most cases, they're always a first point of reference. I don't know if this is the appropriate point to also include caseworkers. But when it comes to national institutions, most times the social workers double as the caseworkers. So if you're spelling it out, I think we should include social workers, especially when it comes to service provision. So here I will start with those that have not contributed today. 1. Who's contributed? Okay, 1, 2. Starting from Nuru, 1, 2. Then I'm going to the back, 3. And then coming back to the front, 4, 5, 6. Is that all? Is that all? 7, 8. Are we okay? Okay, so 1, please.
Thank you. I would like to add on the first point on strengthening judicial training. I would like for it to add also mandatory training to law enforcement officers, investigation officers, and prosecutors on survivor-centered investigations and prosecution. So it should be mandatory for these institutions to provide training to these, the judiciary, the police, the prosecutors, and so on. And also I would like to add on the last point, to guarantee timely delivery of enforcement. I would like to add that there should introduce a digital case tracing system so it can help the judgment to not delay and so on. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you.
2.
I'm Dr.
Yes,
Gwezi.
number 2.
Okay.
Thank you. I just wanted to, on number 4, it should include the investigators, because as we have seen in the role play, the first person who received a gender-based violence case is the police investigators. If you left them out, that means the prosecutor and the judge are the last persons after the investigation have been done by the police. So if they are not really included, then we are doomed to fail. So even the wording, it should be judiciary, police officers, stroke, or we include their investigators. Very crucial in the process.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know. I want to come back to what Nuru said. I don't know. Do we include something like, in terms of the digital database, do we include something like creating
Yes,
offenders?
I actually wanted to mention something like that with respect to human trafficking. I don't know whether.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, that the establishment of National Innovation Hub for Anti-Trafficking Technology that will make us to be able to track, monitor, and prevent human trafficking activities, including online sexual exploitation of women and girls. I don't know whether that's one will fit into the national institution.
Okay, so I guess that still goes together with what Nuru has said,
Yes,
in
okay.
terms of the database and the technology stuff. So what I was is, do we also say we create a register of offenders to be publicly available? Like I know in South Africa, they have a sexual offenders register where even when they want to maybe get a job, they just look, do you have a sexual offense record? Do we include it in that recommendation? No? Okay, thank you. So number 4.
Yeah, merci pour la parole. Donc, mes propositions concernent d'abord le deuxième point, veiller à l'application des instruments africains internationaux relatifs aux droits de l'homme. Je propose qu'on met aux droits humains. Oui. Et la deuxième, j'avais déjà envoyé ça sur email. Je propose qu'on ajoute la recommandation suivante, intégrer les dispositions des instruments juridiques internationaux ratifiés, notamment le protocole de Maputo, dans la motivation des jugements afin de renforcer la protection des droits des femmes et l'harmonisation du droit national avec les engagements internationaux. Merci.
Thank you so much. I didn't get the last part, but I want to believe it is to the already the instruments that are already in effect.
Ok, je peux rajouter? Je suis numéro 5.
Oui.
Permettez-moi de parler en français.
Yes, yes.
J'ai un point à soulever qui est un peu transversal, parce qu'on parle d'inclusivité, des vulnérabilités des femmes et tout ça, mais je ne vois pas qu'on a parlé des femmes en centre de détention. Là, je voudrais ajouter un point, c'est garantir la protection des femmes qui sont en prison, centre de détention. Parce qu'on a parlé des femmes, par exemple, qui sont victimes au niveau extérieur, par rapport à leurs conjoints, par rapport à des étrangers et tout ça, mais il y a aussi des abus qui se font au niveau des centres de détention. Merci.
I believe when we talk about survivors, irrespective of where you are, you should have access to justice. And then when we talk about inclusion, we already mentioned, of course, the displaced persons, the refugees. I want to believe they're included because they are women, and for those that have experienced one form of violence or the other, they're also survivors. But maybe to just have a clause that specifically guarantees access to justice for women in detention or in prison. Thank you.
6. Yeah. All right. Good morning. This is Bintu from the Gambia. So first, of course, I am from the National Human Rights Commission, so I will make a recommendation. Sorry, this is Bintu from the Gambia. I was saying I'm from the National Human Rights Commission, so of course, I will make a recommendation for the NHRIs. And first, really,
Mute your microphone, please.
still, can I be heard now? Okay, so my first recommendation is for us to include a specific recommendation for national human rights institutions, because really, after everything is said and done, these are the institutions that actually have the mandate to monitor the implementation of laws and policies in our various countries. So the mandate that they serve is very important, because we can have the laws, like we've been discussing, we can have the policies, but if there is no institution to push the government to say you have an obligation under international and regional law to do this and that, then it becomes a problem, right? So my recommendation is for us to include the strengthening the independence of NHRIs and ensure non-interference. That is for NHRIs.
In that case, I think that recommendation will go to the national authorities. It can, yes, the national institutions
national
and to member states.
To members, but
National institutions and to member states. To member states will be to guarantee the autonomy and independence
so for
of.
the member states, it will be to strengthen the independence of NHRIs and ensure non-interference, because we see more often that states would actually establish national human rights institutions, but then in terms of independence, we don't see much of it. So we have seen countries, for example, that are very good when it comes to freedom of expression, when it comes to other areas, but then their national human rights institutions are actually politicized. Because if they now bring in political figures and, place them in national human rights institution, who would do the monitoring? Who would do the scrutiny? Who would make sure that implementation of laws and policies actually take place? And so that is why I believe it would be very prudent for us to make this recommendation to the member states to ensure that their NHRIs are actually independent, not only in quotes, but actual independence.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that the recommendation goes to the member states and not the national institutions.
Absolutely.
So for the national institutions, what can you do better for the NHRIs?
Yeah, I believe our advisory role there would be what we can utilize to ensure that we constantly are on the necks of member states to ensure implementation of laws and policies, because we are the watchdogs. We push them to do what they have actually committed to do under the Maputo Protocol, but other legal instruments. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we put to be more proactive in monitoring and evaluation of effectiveness of.
Meanwhile, the other recommendation goes to the
Yes.
member state.
Yeah.
Can I continue with the?
Oh, you still have more?
A few.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think this has actually been said by one of the contributors. It was just to amend the first recommendation, which speaks to strengthening judicial training on women rights and international human rights norms, to reflect exploring gender-sensitive approaches in handling of cases involving women's human rights. I felt it needs to be. It's off again. Can you hear me? Okay. I was actually proposing to amend the first recommendation, which speaks to strengthening judicial training and international human rights norms, to reflect exploring gender-sensitive approaches in handling of cases involving women's human rights.
That's the approach, not the capacity.
Yeah. So the other one, you've already talked about it, and that's social welfare. Just to reiterate that it's very important, because, for example, in my country, when you have a case dealing with a child, any individual who is below the age of 18, there is a mandatory requirement that a social worker must be present when this case is being heard in court. Without the presence of the social worker, actually a counsel can make an objection to state that the court does not have the proper forum for that case to be heard. So they are very important stakeholders. Also, I'm proposing that perhaps we can look at how we also add local government actors yeah, local government actors, right, in our recommendations, because they also play a crucial part. Why I say this is, for example, again, taking my country as an example, when you have cases of SGBV, most of the time, the first points of contact is members of local government actors who are representatives in their own community, right? Because we all know that in the African context, people have a phobia for actually approaching police stations, for approaching the courts, because it is said, for example, that when you take your husband to a police station, that's the end of your marriage. So they would rather speak to these individuals who are their representatives at the local level. So it is important also that we explore ways of properly training these individuals in handling of these cases, you know, so that we can do away with, for example, having a case where a person or a local councillor is so blinded by their cultural context that, you know, they end up messing up the case instead of actually strengthening it. So I think that is very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Number 6? 7. Okay.
Merci de m'avoir donné la parole une fois de plus. J'ai 2 recommandations à proposer. Première recommandation, c'est dans les hôpitaux. Nous remarquons souvent que dans les hôpitaux, les docteurs ou les infirmiers, certains ne sont pas capables d'assurer une prise en charge des cas de VBG. Donc, moi, je recommande de créer, par exemple, des guichets que j'ai nommés One Stop Center, où on va retrouver, par exemple, un médecin qui sera formé, un policier, un responsable psychosocial et également une aide judiciaire au même endroit. Donc, ça, c'est la première recommandation. Et la deuxième recommandation va à l'égard des femmes vivant avec le handicap. Donc, renforcer ou assurer, parce qu'il y a certains centres qui ne sont pas inclusifs, si je peux dire ça comme ça, et il y a d'autres qui sont moyennement inclusifs. Donc, soit renforcer l'accessibilité ou assurer l'accès aux femmes vivant avec le handicap, peut-être en ayant des interprètes dans les institutions, ou même en ayant des formulaires en braille pour des personnes qui ont des handicaps visuels et également pour des rampes. Merci.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, number 8. Oh, okay. So I guess what she was trying to say is that we should also pay attention to the health workers that in some cases, and I want to believe in conflict situations, where you have the health workers that do not have the capacity to actually deal with sexual and gender-based violence, then they end up not providing the appropriate services they should. So that health workers should be included in the national institutions that we are talking about. And I think the issue of the one-stop center has been addressed. So does that cover the health workers? Okay, thank you. Number 8. Oh, okay. Oh, you gave her your slots. That's so kind of you.
Ok, merci beaucoup pour ce privilège. Oui, je voudrais qu'on ajoute aussi comme recommandation aux institutions nationales le point incluant la représentation des femmes dans les instances judiciaires. Nous avons relevé que les femmes sont faiblement représentées, surtout au niveau supérieur, dans les instances judiciaires. Alors, comme recommandation, c'est d'adopter des politiques nationales sur l'égalité de genre dans la magistrature, incluant des objectifs de parité dans les nominations, surtout dans les fonctions dirigeantes. Aussi, je voudrais, comme nous avions relevé le harcèlement dans les institutions judiciaires, je pense que c'est à ce niveau aussi, aux institutions nationales, qu'ils doivent adopter des politiques pour prévenir et sanctionner le harcèlement fondé sur le genre dans les secteurs judiciaires. Je voudrais aussi renforcer concernant la formation des magistrats, insister peut-être sur le leadership féminin, donc recommander aux institutions nationales de renforcer le leadership féminin, puisque nous avions relevé que dans les instances judiciaires, les femmes restent au niveau inférieur et n'accèdent pas. Donc renforcer les compétences des femmes dans les instances judiciaires avec des formations sur le leadership et même renforcer le mentorat professionnel. Bon, ça, ce sont des propositions aux institutions nationales. Voilà, merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much.
Donc, juste une proposition au sujet de l'aide juridique, l'assistance juridique. Donc, accorder le plus largement possible l'aide juridictionnelle aux victimes donc, de violences à l'égard des femmes et des filles. Et pour ce qui est de la formation, du renforcement de capacité des acteurs judiciaires, ce serait bien que ça ne se limite pas seulement aux acteurs judiciaires, mais plus globalement à tous les agents de la fonction publique. Et pour cela, il faut que dans les écoles de formation, il y ait des modules spécifiques consacrés aux violences basées sur le genre, mais pas seulement pour les professionnels du droit. Merci.
Thank you so much. I know subsequently we have a place where we talk about curriculum. There's a recommendation for educational institutions. And then, okay, so I think you said we should also urge states or urge national institutions to encourage more gender representation, to have more women in decision-making processes. And I think we've also covered that. Okay, so can we move to CSOs? I'm not trying to cut you out, but please, you can compile the recommendations and send it by email. Can we move to CSOs and NGOs? Where are you? We'll give priority to those in that sector. CSO? Brenda? CSOs, NGOs? But I know you work with them a lot. Are we okay with the recommendations? Okay, so we have 2, 1, 2. Yes, only those two, please.
Okay, thank you. Mine is very brief on the on the third recommendation, where it's train judicial actors and paralegals. I suggest we add media, that we train judicial actors, paralegals, and media on the Maputo Protocol and GBV response. Thank you.
So I think we have recommendations for media. We can just add that to the media recommendations.
But that is for the civil society to train the media.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. 2, number 2, please. In 1 minute, please.
Merci beaucoup. La dernière recommandation, vous avez mentionné demander le statut d'observateur. Je pense que nous devons plutôt dire octroyer. Nous devons inciter les organisations internationales. Je crois que je ne sais pas à ce niveau. Ok, je vois. Je pensais que c'était les organisations sous-régionales. Sinon, c'était de demander aux organisations sous-régionales d'octroyer un poste d'observateur aux ONG. Merci.
This is for NGOs. Okay, so can we move to civil societies? So can we move to international partners? We are on number 6. Number 5. So we are moving to 6. We are on number 5.
Numéro 5, on demande d'engager les leaders religieux traditionnels. Pour les engager, il faut les sensibiliser. Il faut qu'ils soient formés d'abord. S'ils ne sont pas formés sur le protocole, est-ce qu'ils peuvent sensibiliser?
Okay, did you get that? Thank you.
Merci.
Merci. So we'll move to number 6, which is to international partners and donors. May I call on you, sir? On the recommendations to international partners and donors, if you don't mind. So, do you have anything to add to that?
Keep in mind that one of the issues that I was dealing with is the importance of doing investigations and providing, resources to investigate violations and those kinds of things, and that often requires funding from donors. For instance, when there was a commission of inquiry for South Sudan, funds were raised in order to hire investigators in order to do things like that. And it's important to get, for instance, in the African Union, which does not have very much resource, almost everything that they spend comes from donor states. And so it's important that those donors provide the resources in order to ensure the compliance and investigations, etc., with compliance with treaty obligations and human rights.
Okay, so I guess that also we have that covered in the first one and the third one. I think one thing I want to add to this section is the fact that when it comes to SGBV, we always leave one thing out. It's forensic evidence. I don't know if we can call on donors to help in setting up a forensic lab and provide training for experts in that field. I know UNFPA have been doing that, and we were able to set up the first one in Nigeria. But I don't know if this is what we want to consider. So for the donors, international partners and donors, 1, Any other person too? Okay, those two, then we wrap it up and move to the next one.
Sorry, please. I just wanted to quickly add that in relation to setting a forensic lab, can't recommendation to cover that? Because we're talking about supporting technological-based solution for reports.
Okay, so that's good. So number 2, 1 minute, please. Can we have the mic?
Merci beaucoup. Par rapport aux bailleurs, je pense qu'il serait préférable de leur recommander d'augmenter et de faciliter les ONG dans leur structuration administrative, le renforcement des capacités des membres. Parce que il y a que certaines institutions ont des conditions de financement très dures. Pour les petites ONG ou les ONG débutantes, pourtant qui mènent des activités vraiment impactantes, ça devient un problème pour accéder à ces financements. Donc, il faut faciliter, augmenter et faciliter les financements. Merci.
Thank you so much. So I guess that, okay, maybe we say improve information on accessing funding by stakeholders. Does that cover it? Or improve access to information on accessing funding. And then the third one can be amended to read, assist the AU, national institutions, and CSOs and NGOs on capacity building. I guess that covers it. That covers it, right?
D'accord, je vais reprendre calmement. Ce que je vais dire, je sais que les institutions financent déjà, mais je veux qu'ils augmentent. Ça, c'est un. Deuxièmement, qu'ils facilitent l'accès à ces fonds, notamment pour les ONG débutantes. C'est-à-dire que les critères d'octroi des financements soient allégés. J'ai fait ces interviews sur ma chaîne. Si vous partez, si vous comprenez anglais et français, vous allez voir, il y a des organisations qui ont fait ces plaidoyers pour faciliter l'accès au financement. Elles mènent des activités, mais c'est sur fonds propres, sur des cotisations. Comment une telle ONG peut prendre en charge des victimes? C'est difficile.
I guess that is noted, but also we also don't want to dictate how they set their rules. If they have the rules on the qualification for getting the grant or funding, and you don't meet up, or after the interview they feel that somebody more suitable, I think some things are not based on sentiment. Well, I guess we will address that. Okay, thank you. So can we move to the media institutions? Recommendations to the media. 1. I know you. 2. And then 3. Then we wrap it up.
Vous allez m'excuser, ma recommandation concerne les partenaires internationaux et bailleurs. Je vais faire vite, donc je propose qu'on ajoute que respecter la culture et les engagements souverains des États africains en veillant à ce que l'aide ou la coopération internationale ne soit pas conditionnée par des exigences contraires aux valeurs, aux priorités nationales, aux réalités socio- et culturelles locales.
Wow, that's important. Yeah, so interventions should take cultural sensitivities into consideration.
Wow.
Thank you. 2.
Je disais que la recommandation n'est pas spécifique, ça ne permettra pas de savoir exactement ce qu'on veut, puisque nous avons vu qu'il y a des pratiques traditionnelles néfastes, il y en a qui sont également positives. Maintenant, si on dit que les conditions donc, à l'aide ne doivent pas aller à l'encontre de nos traditions et de nos coutumes, sans dire plus, ce n'est pas très clair en fait. Si elle peut davantage préciser, spécifier.
Okay, so I guess for specificity, we are saying interventions should take cultural sensitivities, or interventions should not contradict cultural sensitivities of beneficiaries. Contradict means they have to, sensitivities means the cultural values. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, now I understand. Please, let's erase that. Because if you say cultural values and it is child marriage, and then, yeah. I withdraw that. Please, let's delete that. I withdraw that. So do you want to tell us how it should be couched, please?
Can you allow us to draft that? Sorry. Can you allow the drafting team to incorporate the idea, but focusing on the rights of the victims? Can you allow that to happen? Then we will find the proper way of phrasing the recommendation. Can we do that like that? Thank you.
Ok. En fait, là, je faisais allusion à la critique des engagements souverains des États africains qui sont très positifs. Vous savez tous, on a des valeurs africaines qui sont positives. Et sur lesquels on est tous d'accord que c'est bon. Par exemple, on a vu que les leaders traditionnels africains, qui n'existent qu'en Afrique, donc peuvent aider dans le respect des droits des femmes. Donc c'est dans cette manière-là que je faisais allusion à la culture africaine, notamment aussi, par exemple, l'homosexualité. Je sais que beaucoup plus en Afrique, on ne tolère pas ça. Ce sont des valeurs africaines très positives. Donc, je faisais allusion à ce que les barrières internationaux ne viennent pas nous imposer de tenir compte de tous ces critères-là, alors qu'on n'est pas d'accord avec ces valeurs.
That is noted. That is noted. So we'll draft it and then share with you. But we have to be very careful not to go back again to what we are trying to get out of. Okay, so number 2. Microphone, please.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to raise 2 points. The first one concerning produce responsible content, challenging stereotypes. I will propose that we emphasize on the responsible content, taking into consideration the target, because the kind of content a teenager can receive and understand should be different from the one that we can share for adults. By sharing those contents, we should make sure that we are not creating another problem. Yes, like these institutions should make sure that they really know, they distinguish between the targets, whether we are talking to teenagers, to children, to adults, and so on. That's the first point. And maybe when we provide platforms for survivors for survivors. You mentioned dignity. I think it's good enough because there is always an issue on protection personal data. So that word dignity, I would suggest that we'll mention protection of personal data also. Thank you very much.
So while ensuring dignity, data protection, and confidentiality. Thank you. I think we have one more person. Is it 1, 2, 3 at the back? We have a third person. Yeah, there's number 3 at the back. Then we'll move to the next one, please.
Okay, thank you. I would like to add more recommendations for the media, that the media should conduct more mostly radio programs to reach the most remote areas, and the programs should be on women rights. This is because some of the awareness raising programs by the CSOs, sometimes not all of them reach these remote areas in various parts of the African countries. So maybe the radio programs could cover that gap. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I guess that is to sensitize the hard-to-reach areas by their engagement. Thank you. So we'll move to the private sector. Private sector, please. Private sector, we'll take two comments there, and then move to traditional and religious leaders. I know that one. Okay, so we'll move to traditional and religious leaders. So here we'll take 5. We'll take 5, and then Chief. We'll take one from Chief. We'll take one from the incoming Chief. Even though he said he doesn't want to be Chief, but I know Chief will make him Chief. So we'll take one from the incoming Chief. We'll take one from, yes, you, 3. Number 3. Is there any other person that has not contributed today? You've contributed. 4 at the back. Any other person that has not contributed and that wants to contribute? Okay, we'll give more people opportunities if you just say the recommendation without, in 10 seconds. Okay, 4, then 5. Oh, no. That will be number 5, then number 6, and number 7. Please just state your recommendation so that so let's start with Chief. The incoming Chief. In that number 1, 2, 3, then we'll go that way. No. Number 1 is there in front.
Yeah, I'll do. Chief has authorized me to do it.
Okay, so that is saving us time. All right.
Thank you very much. Looking at point number 4, we saw that there was strengthening of judicial institutions. However, with point number 9, we haven't seen strengthening of traditional institutions, but we are requiring them to publicly condemn harmful practices. So is it possible that we can also make provisions for strengthening? So this is how we just picked from 4, and we just added traditional and religious leaders. Is it possible for us to have it strengthen traditional and religious leaders on women's rights and international human rights norms, so to enable them to actually...
So that will go to number 4, yeah. National institutions.
So if it goes there, that's
all
fine.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Number 3 now. Number 3. Okay, is that you? Okay.
We are requiring these traditional leaders to condemn these harmful practices. But for the person to condemn these harmful practices, first he or she needs to have really awareness on the negative impacts of these harmful practices. So now it is an fact that in some African contexts, these traditional leaders, they are less educated, I could say so, compared to other communities. So it is my humble opinion that these traditional leaders should first be exposed to this formal education and these formal movements that we are carrying out, so that they could be very aware on these cross-cutting issues in respect to women's, so that they can condemn things that they are full aware of it. Thank you.
That is noted, but I think it goes with strengthening the capacity of the traditional leaders. Though the strengthening does not necessarily have to be formal education. It's just engagement. Let them have the knowledge and the capacity to be able to inform change. Number 4.
Okay. Thank you so much. As we know, these leaders hold a significant influence and a vital partner in prevention effort. I think my opinion is to encourage leaders to break the culture of silence surrounding gender-based violence and to promote open discussion and reporting abuse cases.
Okay, so that will be to educate members of their communities on the heels of this violence against women. Thank you.
Forced marriage. Publicly condemn harmful practices such as child marriage, forced marriage, because forced marriage can occur between adults. Let us add forced marriage there.
Okay, thank you. Who is the next person? I've lost count. Number 6, right? 6. Who is the next person? Okay, 7.
I just want to add that we have a recommendation that stipulates that traditional rulers should have to make provision for periodic review of traditional cultural practices in their local communities that need to be abolished or modified, and the measures adopted to address them. That needs to be abolished or modified in the direction of women's rights, and the measures adopted to address them.
I don't think I'm comfortable with the word abolish. That is like challenging the traditional leaders. Rather, should we say something like,
Okay, that's
abolish
why
and eradication is still the same thing.
Sorry, that's
So-
why I said abolished or modified.
No, that's what we are saying, that the traditional and religious leadership should review cultural and religious practices that promote violence against women and sensitize their communities on behavioral change. Remember, you don't want to be confrontational. Chief, with due respect, sir, you don't want to be confrontational. You want them to take ownership. If you are taking ownership, the language is very important. If you tell them abolish, you are already confrontational. That means you are telling them your practice is not acceptable. Then you want to admonish them. You want to let them take ownership of that, take responsibility. So when they say, oh, this affects or promotes violence, then we want to talk about it, that this is not good for our people. We are still doing the same thing without being confrontational.
That's true.
Okay, thank you.
In order not to get in confrontation with traditional leaders, perhaps we should phrase the recommendation in such a way to call upon them to update themselves on human rights instruments and the requirements for their implementation, and adapt, or inform their people so that their culture, the instruments and the culture do not stand in contradiction. Something like that.
Yes.
We need to respect our traditional leaders so that they don't feel like there is someone standing above them who is dictating them how to behave and how to lead their communities.
Thank you, sir.
We will find a way of phrasing
using soft language,
yeah,
and appealing language.
Exactly.
Thank you. 8, Brenda. Who is the person? There's someone here. Is it you? Okay. That's recommendation.
Thank you so much. I wanted to add that we should call on traditional and religious leaders to adopt inclusion of women in their structures and in their leadership roles, whatever roles that are accorded to them. There should be inclusion of women. They should embrace that inclusion. It's not possible, like you've said, the approach should be diplomatic. So it is them that can initiate the inclusion of women in their adjudication structures or in any structures that they have dealing with gender-based violence cases. I also thought we could call on traditional and religious leaders to embrace, opportunities for skilling themselves in gender-based violence cases, because it's one thing for government to bring training or capacity building, but the traditional leaders should be able to have incentives for their fellow colleagues, embrace knowledge in gender-based violence related cases. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So let's move on to educational institutions. I'll start with Prof. Okay, can you send it by email, please? Thank you. Educational institutions. Okay, so let's go to the general recommendations. You see, those of us in education, we don't talk much. Let's go to general recommendations. 1, general recommendations, 1, 2, and then that's it. Let's take 1 and 2, 3, and then we end the session. So let's start. Every other person kindly send by email. I feel so bad saying this, but we are really out of time. So we take those 3. 1 here, please. General recommendations. Are you ready?
C'est vrai que moi, quand j'ai levé la main, c'était pour les institutions éducatives, mais bon, je vais également donner pour... je dirais créer un forum multipartite coordonné par l'Institut africain de droit international pour assurer le suivi des recommandations qu'on vient de faire. Merci. C'est vrai qu'il y a 3, mais bon, je vais envoyer d'autres par mail.
Okay, so I guess that's to like engage in research that address the problems. Okay, number 2 and then 3 at the back. $20 seconds, please. Just state the recommendation.
Mais si j'ai un commentaire, il faut que je l'apporte parce que Je vois que dans toutes les recommandations, il n'est mentionné nulle part la collaboration entre les médias et les autres institutions. Ça veut dire que la leçon d'hier n'a pas été retenue. Donc, il faudrait prendre cela en compte. La collaboration, que ce soit entre les institutions judiciaires, policières, non gouvernementales et internationales avec les médias. C'est très important pour le partage d'informations. Secondo, j'avais mentionné dans la boîte mail, il faudrait que l'on puisse adopter ce qu'on appelle le PSCA. Le PSCA, c'est la politique de tolérance zéro à l'égard des violences basées sur le genre, adoptée en 2003 par l'Organisation des Nations Unies. Cela faisait suite au scandale des réfugiés en Sierra Leone, où les humanitaires obligeaient les réfugiés à entretenir des rapports sexuels contre l'aide alimentaire. Donc, il faudrait que les organisations mettent cette politique dans leur fonctionnement. Donc, je souhaiterais aussi qu'il soit créé un réseau africain luttant contre les VBG. C'est très important. Merci.
Thank you. Thank you. But when you look at the second recommendations of the general recommendations, it actually talks about collaboration and specifically mentions media engagement. So, merci. Number 3, there's somebody. Okay, right here. Thank you.
Thank you. My comment was to go to the education institution, where I think the institution should also base to have programs that to outreach women who are not in the institution or in the education system in the remote places. So there should be a kind of a special program on an outreach to reach those girls out there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. To engage in educating how to reach women and girls. Thank you. So at this point, permit me to pass the microphone back to Prof.
Thank you very much for all these contributions. They are very well noted, and we will revise the draft on that basis, and we will circulate the revised version before sending the recommendations to their final destination. Now, we are running out of time, and tea is ready. So I propose that we go for a break, half an hour, while the graduation team is getting ready to call